What a disaster. This is an unmitigated disaster. This should have been so simple for the diva of dump divas, Cathy Engelbert. This was so simple. It reminds me of Donald Trump's presidential campaign from last year, where all Donald Trump had to do was nothing, and he was guaranteed to defeat the replacement loser for our former fearless leader Johnny B. Biden, cackling Cam Harris. As the commissioner of a sports league, especially a league of make-believe like the WNBA dump, which hasn't generated a single Vietnamese dong in profit in the last 30 years. Hell, the only dongs generated in the WNBA are the battery-powered dongs that are generously donated by fans. As the diva responsible for this unmonetizable turd, you literally dream of something like this happening. A once-in-a-lifetime star. Now notice, I did not say once in a generation. Before Caitlin Clark entered the league, the only time WNBA players saw stars is when they stared out the bus window while on the road, traveling to the next empty high school gym. All Cathy Engelbert had to do was nothing. Caitlin Clark came into the league prepared. No media training was required. No team needed to be hired to elevate her mainstream drawing power. The only thing Cathy Engelbert had to do was nothing. Instead, Cathy Engelbert bit into the shit sandwich. She allowed herself to be hypnotized. She allowed herself to believe that she was the reason for the WNBA's growth. When you're younger, and this is especially prevalent with young men, when us men are younger, we tend to have a hard time being humble. We think we're invincible. We think our girlfriends or wives are lucky to be with us. Once we get older, and more importantly, once we mature, we quickly realize that we are lucky to be with our wives. I know for me personally, I would be completely lost without my wife. Did you do your taxes? Don't forget, you got a meeting at 1 o'clock today. I handled your laundry. Your clothes are organized by color in the closet. Once we get older, we realize that we're a small part of our overall success. For example, I receive all the praise, all the credit for the growth of this channel, when the reality is, I would not be able to give 100% of my focus to this channel if my wife wasn't handling everything else. If I didn't have my thumbnail designer, I would be wasting an hour or two every day trying to create thumbnails that look worse than the basketball in the WNBA. If I didn't have someone selling ad slots, I'd have to spend more time doing that. More importantly, if I didn't have you, this channel would not exist. The only reason the channel has grown is because you guys continue to watch it. I have never spent a dime on advertising, or as WNBA players would call it, a weekly paycheck. I have never spent money to advertise because I don't need to. You guys share the channel for me. If it wasn't for you, I would be another one of the millions and millions of YouTubers speaking into an empty void and starving. It's called humility. It's having the maturity to not buy into your own hype. It's the realization that you would be insignificant if you didn't have the people who support you, or the humility to appreciate them every day. Unfortunately for Cathy Engelbert, she has been hypnotized by the poison of ego. For some reason, Cathy Engelbert seems to believe that she is the reason for the WNBA's growth. She is the reason that the dump now has a platform instead of a Grand Canyon filled with trash. And she is delusional enough to believe that Caitlin Clark should be appreciative of the WNBA instead of the other way around. And it is becoming abundantly clear Cathy Engelbert is not the commissioner that the WNBA needs. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel in the description below. Later today on the second channel, going to be talking about another ongoing nightmare in the WNBA, the matchup for the WNBA Finals. The Indiana Felines were eliminated last night. They will no longer be chasing off-season rights to the most coveted prize in the league, the Platinum Pooper. Of course, the Felines were not the only thing eliminated from the WNBA playoffs last night. More than likely, the audience was eliminated right along with them. Because I cannot imagine that most people are interested in a series featuring the Phoenix Masculines and the Las Vegas Anonymous Faces. The masculine faces against the anonymous faces. So if you haven't already, click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. Yesterday afternoon, Napheesa Collier gave her final press conference of the season. The Minnesota Lynxers were eliminated from the playoffs. My inside sources are telling me that job applications increased by 50% in the Islamic Republic of Minnesota as WNBA players were applying for off-season work at the Dildo Den. Maybe some lucky applicants were able to get a job at Just for Men. But during her exit interview, Napheesa Collier used the opportunity to publicize her grievances against Cathy Engelbert. It was the first public shot in the ongoing civil war between Cathy Engelbert and WNBA players. But within her long list of grievances explaining why Cathy Engelbert was the worst diva of dump divas in the world, Napheesa Collier made a startling admission that revealed the mindset of Cathy Engelbert. It was so blatantly stupid, I actually questioned the legitimacy of Napheesa Collier's claims. According to Napheesa Collier, Cathy Engelbert believes that the WNBA is responsible for the success of Caitlin Clark. Watch for yourself.
I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. And in that same conversation, she told me players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them. That's a mentality driving our league from the top. We go to battle every day to protect a shield that doesn't value us. The league believes it succeeds despite its players, not because of them.
To my knowledge, Cathy Engelbert has not denied this. Now, in fairness to Cathy Engelbert, she might have denied it and I just haven't seen it. If she was smart, she would deny it. But even if she did, no one is going to believe her. This is the equivalent of David Stern claiming that Michael Jordan needed the NBA. It's the equivalent of Vince McMahon claiming that Hulk Hogan needed the WWF. There are certain stars, and there are very, very few of them, but there are certain stars who become bigger than the league. Caitlin Clark does not need the WNBA. Caitlin Clark should not appreciate the WNBA. The WNBA should appreciate Caitlin Clark. Do I really need to sit here and give Cathy Engelbert a history lesson? Do I need to remind Cathy Engelbert of where this dump was before Caitlin Clark put polish on this unbelievably toxic turd? According to the Sports Business Journal, Cat Engelbert was planning on stepping down as commissioner after negotiations were completed for the new collective bargaining agreement. Now, Uncle KC is having a real hard time believing that. Why would you go through the painful process of negotiations just to step down once negotiations were completed? I think Cat Engelbert leaked that story to buy herself some time because the league is being pressured to fire Cat Engelbert now. And look, Cat Engelbert should be fired. She has allowed WNBA players to run the league, ruin the league, really. She has allowed WNBA players to believe that they're the ones in charge. You know what would happen if an NFL player publicly humiliated Roger Goodell? You know what would have happened if BJ Armstrong publicly humiliated David Stern? Well, Casey, why are you using BJ Armstrong as an example? No one knows who he is. Yeah, most people have no idea who Napheesa Collier is either, which is exactly my point. If an unknown player had publicly humiliated David Stern, he would no longer have a job. One of the biggest problems with Cathy Engelbert, she's always been afraid to take a stand against WNBA players, which is why you see players like Natasha Cloud who are comfortable going on social media and insinuating that Charlie Kirk was responsible for his own death. It's why you see WNBA players who are comfortable creating fairy tales of mythical racism. Obviously, that's not the reason that WNBA players want Cathy Engelbert fired. The real reason they want her fired is because Cat Engelbert finally decided to take a stand. Cat Engelbert finally decided to make a smart business decision. The reason Napheesa Collier and other WNBA players want the diva of dump divas dumped, she refuses to give in to their unreasonable demands. Yesterday, Napheesa Collier admitted that the reason the WNBA was refusing to give players multi-million-dollar contracts, keyword, give. The reason Cat Engelbert was refusing to do that, she was worried about long-term sustainability. She was worried that Uncle KC is right. She's worried that the success in the WNBA is an illusion. Cathy Engelbert will likely be fired, but it's going to be for the wrong reasons. The firing of Cat Engelbert, it will further empower WNBA players. It will fuel the flaming ass fire of entitlement in this already entitled league. They are going to get rid of Cat Engelbert due to pressure from players and people like Stephen A. Smith in the media, when the real reason Cat should be fired, she refused to protect her most valuable asset. She refused to protect Caitlin Clark. To make matters worse, Cathy Engelbert allowed herself to believe that she was the reason for the WNBA's success. Caitlin Clark should appreciate her instead of the other way around, which might explain why Cat Engelbert never defended her star player. The truth is, this is a league in desperate need of leadership. This is a league that desperately needs a commissioner to give WNBA players a dose of reality. This league needs a commissioner who's willing to be honest with players and say, you're not worth millions of dollars. Now, to her credit, seems like Cat Engelbert was trying to do that. Problem, though, she's got no credibility. You can't take a stand when it comes to money when you have allowed entitlement to breed in your league for the last 6 years. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.